Well, folks, with the Whitfield Report in its 5th season and me starting my 14th year of podcasting in 2021, I figured now would be as good time as any to start a Patreon page for the podcast. And I know everyone these days has a Patreon page who is a podcaster, but let me tell you what you're going to get if you decide to join the Whitfield Report Patreon. At the $1 level, you'll simply be contributing. That'll simply be a way of saying thank you, and I appreciate it, but that's that. However, at the $3 level on up, you're going to be getting access to an exclusive podcast that I'm hoping to do weekly called the Savage Express Podcast. And on that podcast, exclusive to Patreon subscribers and supporters, I'll be covering music and movies and pop culture and personally and anecdotes in ways that I can't cover on YouTube or traditional podcast platforms. I'm hoping to do this every week. I might not, but it'll certainly be a longer form podcast for those types of topics if you're interested in that sort of thing. And I also might be re-releasing some episodes of the Whitfield Analysis, my old podcast, re-releasing the back catalog, as it were, digging out some old video clips that I've had in archive for years and posting all of that exclusively to the Patreon site for you guys. It's going to be a good time, and there are a couple of different tiers you can join in at. I understand if you can't join the Patreon, but if you're able to financially support the show and you want to help out, joining the Patreon would be the best way to do that. So I encourage you to go to patreon.com/Whitfield Report and sign up on one of the tiers today. And again, folks, I want to thank you for supporting the podcast. Thank you for listening to the podcast. And hopefully, I can look forward to your financial contribution, which I deeply appreciate as well. God bless, folks, and Godspeed amongst thee in that order. You know, I always promised myself that if I was still on when Rush was off the air, that I would play this theme of his as a tribute. And so, that is exactly what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm guessing that this stream isn't going to be monetized at all, but it's worth it. And, wow. Great to be with you, folks. Sam Whitfield here behind the Scarlet Red microphone here in South Florida. You can call me via Streamlabs. Actually, you can donate TTS streamlabs.com/The Whitfield Report. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at @somebody_NDC. You can follow me on Dab and Minds at Sam Whitfield. Parler is supposed to be back. You can find me on there at Sam Whitfield as well. But, you know, we don't really do call-ins. I guess technically we can take phone calls, but I've tried messing with that system, and, you know, it's not completely smooth. But Folks, at any rate, welcome to the show. And, well, considering the news, ladies and gentlemen, I am glad to be here. Because I'm glad to be with my audience. But, you know, I wish this were under slightly better circumstances. For those of you who don't know, and actually my mom didn't even know until I told her the news about an hour ago. Rush Limbaugh, America's Anchorman, and now I can officially say the greatest of all time in radio broadcasting has succumbed to lung cancer at age 70. And, you know, we knew that this was coming. About a year ago, he announced on his show that he had stage 4 cancer. That same week that he received his cancer diagnosis, I actually did a show where I explained what Rush meant to me. And I actually went back and listened to that show today. It's very rare when I go back and listen to my own shows. You know, unless I'm like doing editing to upload the audio podcast, you know, if I have to clean something up, but technically that's not really like listening. But I did, and pretty much nothing has really changed as far as Rush's influence. I've told this story before, but I will tell it again. Basically, I was a political nerd as a kid, as most of you guys know, and my mother would always pick me up on, I believe it was Thursdays from school for like physical therapy, and we had to go all the way up to Boulder from Denver, which was a bit of a drive. And during that time, she would have the radio on. Now, what's interesting about my mother is, although she is, I guess, conservative-ish, she's more of a libertarian actually, and I'm actually more of the conservative now, which is the funny thing. But she would have the radio on all the time, and it wasn't just Rush Limbaugh. It was she actually had, believe it or not, NPR on a lot of the time, and I wouldn't say she was a fan of Terry Gross, but she would listen to Terry Gross a lot. I personally, I can't stand the monotone voice of NPR at all. But I would listen to you know, NPR and everyone, and basically I remember listening to Rush one day, and just the energy of his show was more or less the you know, I remember hearing it, and I remember thinking, that's what I want to do. I want to have a radio show. I was bound and determined to get one. That flash forward to 2008, podcasting comes out. I get into that, and then you know, the rest is history, as they say. So yeah, we're here tonight to you know, talk about Rush Limbaugh and the legacy, the good the bad, the controversial, everything. I want to welcome everyone in the chat. We have in the chat Tom Sawyer, Sawson, Hail Sawson, Hail Basic, Hail Bruce City, who I know is probably going to clip out of the show. Hail Titty Salad, who may or may not leave the stream part way. Like, you know, like I think she admitted, at least to me in DMs, to dipping on the show partway through. That may happen, but you know, who knows? Even some right wingers dip from this show from time to time. I tend to piss everyone off equally eventually, so there you have it. Let's see. But anyway, no, just kidding, Titty. We love you. So Oki Dean is here as well, and this is basically turning into a Hail Saucin' Fest. So I really need to get my soundboard up and do a Hail Saucin' thing. But at any rate, I might do a stream all about Assassin one day and how terrific she is, but today, yeah, let's just talk about Rush. Very interesting individual, and I actually learned some things about him that I had forgotten about, such as the fact that he was a sports broadcaster for the Kansas City Royals, and can't remember what other team, but yeah, he started out in sports radio, which I had completely forgot about. And then the other thing I learned, which I had forgotten about, was that he was actually a radio DJ in Cape Girardeau, Missouri at age 14, which is kind of it's kind of a little ironic because that was exactly when I started doing the show too. So then he went to work in California, got a station gig down there, and moved more into politics. And then he got a station offer to move his show to WABC, where it was nationally syndicated. And yeah, he did that at about age 35 or 36, I think, according to the book. And by the way, if you want an interesting read on Rush, I highly recommend listening, either reading or listening to on Audible, Rush Limbaugh, An Army of One, which was actually written by Zev Chafetz, who is a New York Times reporter, and actually a pretty big liberal, but he essentially went out to try and do like an expose on Rush, and ended up doing more of like an autobiography. Actually met Rush and got to know him, and through research and through meeting the guy, figured out that, came to decide that Rush wasn't as much of a monster or a monster at all, really. And that even though he didn't agree with Rush, he certainly understood his influence, and that was back in 2012. when that book came out, and I read that book the year I was going into my senior year of high school. I was actually on a cruise ship in Alaska when I was reading that book, and I remember being on the cruise ship and looking at glaciers in the middle of the ocean and reading the book. And I'm also pretty sure that there was a drowning polar bear out there. But then again, Al Gore is still wrong about, climate change. I'm not saying that climate change is fake and entirely, don't misunderstand. I'm saying that Al Gore, super serial guy, was wrong about climate change. And he is an absolute grifter as well. But yeah, Rush's style of broadcasting. He was also a shock jock, which I think is why so many people think he's a controversial figure, because a lot of the things that he has said that could be controversial were in a shock jock manner. I mean, Howard Stern has said way, edgier things, but essentially, Rush, when he started out making like all of the controversial comments that he did, they were all, it was for the shock jock effect, pretty much. And I found 2 clips. One is actually a broadcast from his early days on the radio. Someone brought in a TV crew into WABC. And so this is I won't play the whole thing, but there is footage of Rush's show from the very early days, which I found earlier tonight, and I was watching a little bit of it. And so for those who aren't familiar with the early days of El Rushbo, I give you Rush at WABC New York. All right. See here. Oh, thought I had this queued up already. No matter though, because we are professionals, or semi-professional, and this is why I need a, an in-house producer. And also, Titty Salad, if you listen to the show long enough, if you listen to my show long enough, you will eventually become a good conservative housewife. It's bound to happen, mark my words. But anyway, clip number 1 of Rush. Go, and yes, he was fat back in the day.
The opinions expressed on the Rush Limbaugh program do not necessarily reflect those of WABC Radio or its management. And now, here's Rush Limbaugh.
By the way, that's a gutless disclaimer. The views expressed by the host of this show ought to become federal law, and the station and sponsors ought to heartily endorse them.
Heaven forbid.
Why don't you take it off?
No,
it's a joke. See, I asked her to come in here and bring, just wear the mask. Because so many people don't like.
Oh yes, he used to have the news girl as a co-host back in the day.
I made a joke. You might want to wear a mask in here just to protect your identity.
You said wear a paper bag over my head.
I said wear a paper bag and then take it off.
No, No, I
Take
have
it
to.
off.
No, I can't.
You're a gorgeous woman.
I have to
Take
keep it on.
Oh, come on. I'm going to take it.
No, don't you leave me alone now. Get on with your show. You were so worried about the show. Get on. The news is over. The show can begin.
Greetings to you, ladies and gentlemen, all across the entire fruited plain today. We welcome the C-SPAN cameras to WABC, News Talk Radio 770, and Rush Limbaugh with yet another excursion into broadcast excellence hosted by me. Let me give you the phone numbers if you want to be part of the program today. And, hey, Mario, remember now that when we give these numbers out, these numbers are going out all over the fruited plain, and so people from all over there we're going to be trying to call. Use your best judgment in there. It's 201-489-WABC from New Jersey. And from anywhere else, 212-563-WABC. If you're illiterate, WABC equals 92. Well, that wouldn't matter anyway. If you're illiterate, you wouldn't know numbers either. WABC 9222. All right, in the far right-hand column of phone, if you have a touch-tone phone, the 9 is second from...
What the hell is a touch-tone telephone? Just kidding. I actually know what that is. But for the Gen Z crowd out there, there was actually a time where you would have to use a physical touch-tone telephone to make phone calls, and there was also long distance, and many syndicated radio shows back in the day had like toll-free numbers. They still do, but that was how you made phone calls, kids. So like I said, I'm not gonna play this whole entire thing because it is an hour long, but it is highly entertaining to watch. Even if you're not really a Rush fan, it's pretty fascinating to look at, like, broadcasting pre-internet too, basically. Also, hail Sirio in the chat. So there's an early look at Rush, and then I also found this 60 minutes interview. And it's at the end. Let me go back and start it. Okay. So cut number 2. Whoa, this was from last year. So let's go.
Stations nationwide. More than 7 million listeners a week hear Limbaugh lambasting liberals, railing against the homeless, beating up on feminists, gays, and those he calls peaceniks and environmental wackos. Unhappily, his critics say he's proof that bigotry sells. As you're about to see and hear, Rush Limbaugh is too big to ignore.
Welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program, a program exclusively designed for rich conservatives and right-minded Republicans and those who want to be either or both.
With a torso as big as his voice, this 300-pounder from Cape Girardeau, Missouri, has fashioned a blend of political satire and commentary into the most successful radio talk show in the country. You can hear him 3 hours every afternoon, virtually anywhere in America.
The views expressed by the host on this show are not necessarily those of the staff, management, nor sponsors of this station, but they ought to be.
And what are those views? Well, listen. It won't take you long to figure them out. We'll give you some help. When you hear the music Up, Up, and Away and My Beautiful Balloon, that means it's time for a condom update.
The New York City school system won a close vote recently to distribute condoms on request to any high school student in the school system who wants one. The budgets are so tight, they may have to cut 18,000 teachers. The message is that it is more important to give students condoms in New York City than it is to give them teachers.
Who is this guy and where did he...
By the way, the New York City school system is still shit 20 years later. And now it's virtually non-existent because of COVID. But, you know, nice to know that things really haven't changed in New York in terms of the school system there in 30 years just about. But hey, Actually, a lot of kids can just look up stuff on YouTube and learn useful things that way. So, it's not all bad.
Come from? Well, he's a twice-divorced college dropout and failed disc jockey who is waging what he calls cultural warfare, skewering liberal sacred cows, environmentalists, feminists, militant gays, and animal rights activists.
Okay, notice that 60 Minutes did make the distinction of militant gays. They wouldn't do that now. They would just say gays, period. But yeah, militant gays.
Often with their own material, culled from the 8 newspapers he reads every day.
Have we got fun in store for you today?
The latest news from the animal rights front is introduced with Andy Williams singing Born Free, mixed with gunfire, explosions, and animal cries. The feminist update begins with Born to be a Woman. Limbaugh doesn't like feminists much, calls their leaders feminazis.
Which, and I'm sorry to say it, but with the exception of you, most of them are feminazis.
By now, you're either laughing or fuming. And to Rush Limbaugh, it doesn't...
Or both. If you've tuned into my program, you've probably done both at some point.
...that much difference.
People have called you a sexist.
Right.
People have called you a homophobe.
Right.
Are you?
Oh, of course not. I'm none of those things. I am simply someone who views events in life and comments on them. I have my own version of what's right and wrong.
You've also been called arrogant and pompous.
Well, I call it confidence.
And for now, he can afford to be cocky. Oracle or opportunist, he is part of the American commerce, bringing listeners back to AM radio. In New Orleans, when WWL started carrying his show, the station jumped from number 7 in the ratings to number 1. Johnny Andrews is the station manager.
In the past 25, 30 years in radio, I can only think of a handful of national radio personalities who have made an impact on local radio stations. Paul Harvey, of course, Charles Osgood. And now in the 90s, here's this guy, Rush Limbaugh.
I'm sad that Billy Carter's no longer. He's a great character, and he was a nice guy. And if he were still around, we'd be the dream Democrat ticket. The dream ticket. Ted Kennedy and Billy Carter.
Right.
And the slogan would be, "You drink, I'll drive."
Where are you calling from, Steve?
He takes a few phone calls, usually from like-minded listeners.
Mary in Plattsburgh, New York. Hi, and welcome to the Rush Limbaugh program.
Hi, Rush. How are you
People
doing?
calling his New York studio on cellular phones get priority treatment because, he says, they must be rich. It's his talk show, and he's the talker. No guests. He says he doesn't need them.
I don't defer to the experts. I am the expert.
Okay, hold up.
Stop being one. Doom.
Hold up.
He was hanging...
Okay, so again, for the Zoomers out there, okay, for the Gen Z folks, again, context. And by the way, you're talking to a kid who was born in the mid 90s, but who's also obsessed with 80s culture. So, for the younger audience members, let me also tell you that back in the day, cellular phones. Well, actually, let me pull up a picture here on screen for you guys. Okay, well those are all the phones that we have today, but let me... Why is my thing, okay. Okay. So, for the younger crowd, this is what a cell phone used to look like. They were these big blocky things that they they were bricks essentially, and they could barely fit in your pocket. Like if you've ever watched an episode of like the X-Files from the early 90s and you see those big giant black things that aren't guns, yeah, this is most likely what they are. And my mother actually had one for like a real long time, because I found it like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and her stuff of storage or whatever. But anyway, yeah, that's what a cell phone used to look like, kiddies. No texting, no screen. You can even do texting. It was just and cellular rates were through the roof back then, and the only reason why my mother had one was because she was working for Microsoft back in the day and was in sales, and so they gave her one of those things that she used, like, I think even like a year after I was born. So yeah. See, folks, we educate the Zoomers here too. So, Alan Palace says that he is a pregnant teenager. Well, Alan, that's not true. You're a man. I'm sorry, but you can't decide to gender swap. Buddy, I know that's gonna upset Titty Salad, but I'm sorry. You're a man. But anyway, so the reason why Russia's saying that people with cell phones must be like conservative rich people is because back in the 90s, those are pretty much the only people that could. So yeah, continuing on.
In Sacramento. Today, he's traveling by limousine, commanding $15,000 for a personal appearance.
Oh, the Rush to Freedom tour. I forgot all about this. Yeah, Rush actually used to do stand-up, like, back in the day, and, or, something akin to that. And, yeah, Owen could take a few lessons from and damn it, I mentioned Owen again, but say la vie. He's part of my subculture now.
In New Orleans last spring, 6,000 fans paid $20 apiece to listen to stories like this one about a men's club in San Francisco that was forced to admit women who then demanded their own exercise room.
And said, fine, we'll be glad to give you your own exercise room. In fact, we'll even put the first 3 pieces of exercise equipment in there for you. They put in there a washing machine, an ironing board, vacuum cleaner. True story.
The story got a lot of applause, but not everyone's cheering. Attorney Gloria Allred, one of the country's most prominent feminists, says Limbaugh would get big applause at a Nazi rally.
I'll bet you they didn't see the humor in it at all, because these people don't have any sense of humor.
He is hurting us, and I can't emphasize that enough. He is trying to make us a joke so that we won't be taken seriously, and part of the problem with...
Well, I think Trigglypuff did a pretty damn good job of that. I mean, yeah, same with the red-haired, feminist chick that, like, tried to punch Breitbart in the face. Yeah, the feminists have done wonders for their, self-image. But then, women like Juliette Ferrette leave the feminist movement and, then get canceled. So,
Moving the women's movement forward is the trivialization of the women's movement.
Feminism was established so as to allow unattractive women easier access to the mainstream society.
That's the type of woman-hating statement that is perpetuated over and over again.
Look, if they get mad at that, that's fine. I'm not doing what I do to make sure nobody gets mad. I can understand how that would ruffle feathers, but it isn't going to stop me.
What are you trying to do with this show?
I'm trying to attract the largest audience I can and hold it for as long as I can so that I can charge advertisers confiscatory advertising rates. This is a business.
You're in it for the money?
Sure. Of course, I'm doing a lot of this for money. But I don't want it to just stop there. I mean, everybody does what they do for the money. If somebody tells you it's not the money, believe me, it's the money.
So, again, this brings up the question, what makes a grifter? I mean, I guess technically, yeah, you could say Rush is a grifter, but then again, that term gets used because if you make money doing something in broadcasting or artistic or anything like that, you kind of are a grifter. But at least he's not trying to, be deceptive about it.
And speaking of money, Limbaugh will earn about $1 million this year. His Rush to Excellence videotape is expected to sell nearly 50,000 copies, and there are mugs and T-shirts.
Which I think, yeah, there are still mugs and T-shirts in the store. Now, let me pull something else up here, because this is a clip that I remember. Let me go back to the main camera screen here. And let me see. Let me check on donations here. Thanks to Fat Cake Boy for the $1. So, thanks Fat Cake Boy, very cool. And also, subscribe to Fat Cake Boy's channel. Also, happy birthday to the Interest of Stuff, by the way. It's Jeremy's birthday today, so I do want to take a moment to say happy birthday, Jeremy. And also, yeah, my dad showed me Rush when I was 10. Well, my mom showed me Rush when I was 10. So yeah, Alan and I are very similar that way. Let's see. I was talking about how my teacher was a dumb bitch, and he was like, "You sound like this guy." Oh, Alan, I knew that there were several reasons I liked you, and that's just reason 1001. Who was rushed to insult anyone's appearances? Nobody really titty salad, but that's what makes it hilarious. At least in my book. And like I said, the guy was a master troll. So let me see if I can still find this. It might not be up on YouTube anymore, but it might. So around the time I really got into Rush. I mean, really got into Rush. Which would have been around 2008. This was a viral clip at the... No, actually, this was in 2009. And by the way, I know for a fact that this show isn't going to be monetized at all. Which is why I'm thankful for donations from like you. Okay, so this right here was one of the first clips on YouTube of Rush that I remember. Rush Limbaugh, Obama is destroying the economy. Tape. Okay. And here we are.
What a day, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings. Great to have you with us. I am Rush Limbaugh, and this is the one and only Excellence in Broadcasting Network, and we've got broadcast excellence for the next 3 hours just for you. Our telephone number, 800-282-2882, if you want to be on the program. The email address, lrushball@eibnet.com. Kill the music. Look at me. Ladies and gentlemen, there can be no other way to say this now. The gloves have to come off. It's time for people to sober up. The President of the United States, Barack Obama, is destroying the United States economy.
So is
There is
Biden
no other way
now.
to describe this. Systematically destroying it. Rush, are you saying he's doing this on purpose? Not going there, it doesn't matter. What matters is the United States economy is being destroyed. Even the Associated Press, government-run Associated Press, with a headline, big government spending programs are having the opposite effect on the economy. They are concluding that you cannot spend yourself out of a recession. So what is President Obama planning to do? Spend even more, even sooner. Here is the AP story. The Federal Reserve announced a $1.2 trillion plan 3 months ago, designed to push down mortgage rates and breathe life into the housing market. But this and other big government spending programs are turning out to have the opposite effect. It is not just that they aren't working. They are hurting. They are harming. Anybody with a...
Cash for Clunkers, anyone? Remember that program? Yeah, Cash for Clunkers worked out real well back during the early Obama years. Didn't it? Supposedly, you were supposed to be able to, like, trade in your old vehicle and get, cash from the government in order to, like, get a trade-in on like, more energy efficient, vehicle. Problem is that there was a lot of red tape. People traded in those never got the money, or they would never get enough, they would never get enough, rebates for get a vehicle. So, when the government intercedes on stuff like that, it doesn't work. But anyway, yeah, this whole I remember this clip that there was the I hope he fails thing that got a lot of comments. Then also this one in particular, Obama is showing money. Now, someone mentioned earlier today that Rush also DM'd me just now actually, and mentioned the Paul Shanklin charity. Those who don't know, Paul Shanklin is a satirist who wrote multiple songs and jingles for Rush over the years. And he has a particular set of satirical songs, satirical bits that I know Bruce City would love, as one of her bots in her Discord is named after Al Sharpton. One of my all-time favorite Rush was a series that he did called The Justice Brothers. And who are the Justice Brothers? Ask. Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson, two of the biggest race baiters in America. So here are the Justice Brothers by Paul Shanklin. These are, oh gosh, I want to say these are from 2008. These are old. I've had these in my library for a long time.
Now a message from the firm of Sharpton and Jackson, the Justice Brothers.
Did a washed up radio shot jock recently offend you?
Has anybody uttered the unutterable? Then just call us the Justice Brothers.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we represent an entire minority.
But we do every day of the week.
We specialize in class action protests
and corporate shakedowns.
Whether it's Freddy's Fashion Mart, Warner Brawley,
Anheuser-Busch, or MSNBC.
We'll get a love donation
or a piece of the corporate pie.
And you'll
feel better about yourself.
So if you want justice, you can't call anybody else.
'Cause when it comes to justice, there's just us.
The firm of Sharpton and Jackson does not represent interloping crackers, Jaime Diamond merchants, Asians,
or Koreans.
Now a simple test from the firm of Sharpton and Jackson.
Which of the following words are dangerous to use in everyday broadcasts?
Tahoe, Arapaho, Tally-ho, Don-ho, ho-ho-ho, or Merry Christmas.
All of these could be taken as offensive if you're not insured with us,
the Justice Brothers. In today's uncertain world of radio, why take a chance on blowing up your career?
Let the Justice Brothers protect you with broadcast insurance.
For just $1,000 a day, we will provide coverage to a system of racial credits.
Racial credits are similar to Al Gore's carbon credits. But we ain't gonna plan nothing, we ain't gonna build nothing. Just back you up if you run off at the mouth.
Rap artists and Hollywood actors have relied on coverage from the Justice Brothers for years. Broadcast insurance from Sharpton and Jackson, because just like your neighbor, we really don't care.
What do you want?
Broadcast insurance.
When do you need it?
Right now.
That's racist, though. A black guy doing a white guy doing a black guy's voice? That's racist, yo. That's racist. Actually, I think know who Al Sharpton reminds me of now is oddly enough. I mean, I know that Al Sharpton is still alive. I know he's not dead, unfortunately. But Jesse Lee Peterson reminds me of Al Sharpton a lot. But like the polar opposite of Al Sharpton. Just as nuts. But I mean, he's the guy that made the whole beta thing a meme. So, and someone needs to update the broadcast insurance because it is a great parody, but someone needs to update it so it's now it's Jack Dorsey getting Twitter insurance because all of these people who are basically like running around saying heinous stuff like, oh, MAGA deserve to get hit by a truck, they're still on. And oh wait, a Disney executive actually said that. So yeah. Let's look at the comments, shall we? So who do we have in the chat? We have we still have Brew, we still have Saucin, we still have Titty Salad. All right, we still have my favorite feminist here. That is actually applause worthy. Actually, do I have? No, I don't have the soundboard. Thought I did, but I don't. Dawson says, I was thinking a few months ago Alan would be the perfect driving instructor, which he would be. He would be. Absolutely. Oh, Sawson's got to go to bed. Which, I mean, it is 11. Oh yeah, it's 11:30 here. So what am I saying? I kind of started this being like, but see, I'm also a night owl. So this is like normal, although, I do want to address something because there are some people on Facebook who have been saying, that Rush was a racist and all that, and apparently by posting a tribute to Rush today on Facebook, I ticked a few people off today, and now they think I'm on drugs. So they asked me if I'm on drugs. And the answer is no, but also yes, sort of. So it is, and it's, believe me, it's not Oxy either. See, I can make those jokes as well, folks. I'm not on Oxy. But what I am on is melatonin from Onnit, which is also Joe Rogan's company. He's not paying me to shill this, although he should. So I'm on this melatonin spray. I have another bottle over by my bedstand, but essentially try this 3 times, and then you you fall asleep, or do something else, and then you'll fall asleep in 30 minutes. So yeah, I am declaring that I am on drugs. I am on melatonin, but that's pretty much the only drug I'm on, other than caffeine. So there you go. There you have it. I am on drugs, folks. Flip that. Flip that. So now that I've confessed to being melatonin, let's see. What else? What else is here? Oh, of course. So, Christian Blatt, friend of the Whitfield Report, former on-air producer for Mr. Dennis Miller, a DM on Twitter. I think he might be watching. If so, hello. Message me. Are you aware of Andrew Breitbart's whole rap on Rush? How he was raised a huge liberal, and he had a job where he drove around and hated early 90s alternative like Nirvana. So he started listening to talk radio, and he started listening to Rush, and realized he actually agreed with what he said. And he talked to his father-in-law, person being into actually, Christian, I believe from Andrew's book that is verse that Orson was already was Andrew. But I didn't. There's law on memory. What are you talking about? But no, yeah, Andrew had an affinity for Rush, and as I've said, both Rush and Andrew are kind of on my personal Mount Rushmore of conservatives I admire. So yeah. And now 2 out of 3 are gone. Fortunately. So to any I do want to kind of end this program and wrap it up. I want to end with one of Rush's final monologues from a few weeks ago on the MAGA movement.
What a day, ladies and gentlemen. Greetings. Great to have you with us. I am Rush Limbaugh, and this is the one and only Excellence in Broadcasting Network, and we've got broadcast...
Okay, that was weird. Safari just quit and then rebooted itself. At least that tab did. Alright. Yeah. We're good again, folks. How about the Whitfield Newport brand cough device? Push the button and people start social distancing. How about a balloon belt that inflates to 6 feet distance? I like it. I like it a lot. Alright. Let's see here. What else, folks? So I was going to play Russia's final
Whatever Trump calls himself party ID wise to me is not relevant. It's what his agenda is. And he still has the best agenda.
So I was going to play Russia's final one of his final monologues on MAGA movement going forward and kind of the future of the MAGA movement. And people have asked me what I think, how I think the MAGA movement will go moving. And to be honest, I haven't been able to answer that. But I think Rush honestly said it best. Said in a way I can't. So here is Rush from a few days ago. Talking about the future of the MAGA movement. And mark my words, folks, Nick Fuentes will not be the head of the MAGA movement if I have anything. Alright. So this is Rush on how the MAGA movement will come screaming back, essentially after the left failed. Would Rush free Britney? Probably. Let me see here. Something is kind of through with Streamlabs. Don't know what is. Don't know what's going. Okay, here we are. There we go. Sorry, folks. Just a few technical difficulties. But that is the nature of all live streams. Here is Rush talking about the future of And Fat Cake Boy is absolutely right in the chat as well. I predict the Tea Party MAGA movement will undergo another name change and Trump should not be involved. Yeah, I agree with that completely. Fat Cake. And that's kind of what Rush is saying here. So this was Rush on the future of the MAGA agenda. This is actually from his official channel.
Agenda of any politics. Whatever Trump calls himself party ID-wise to me is not relevant. It's what his agenda is. And he still has the best agenda of any politician, short of Reagan, in my lifetime. Make America great again. There's a reason 75 million people voted for Trump. There's a reason that when he made that trip down the escalator on June 5th of 2015, there was a reason that he had majority support in the Republican Party. And that is the people that voted for Trump know exactly what the left has been doing to our country. It's nothing to do with race. It has nothing to do with white supremacy, nothing to do with white this or that. It has to do with the left destroying Western civilization, destroying the very culture this country was built on, destroying constitutional morality and the rule of law. It had nothing to do with race. It had nothing to do with white people thinking their country was being taken away from them, made to be safe. Nothing to do with that at all. But that's what the left says it was about. They never gave up on that. They're wrong about it. But people were livid over this. They were livid being called racists. They were livid when they were when they heard that they wanted to return to slavery. That's what the Democrats were saying the Trump agenda was about. Just a crock. It was always about a great country. It was always about making America great again for everybody who lives here, for everybody who's here legally. It was not complicated. Make America great again is not something that you need a PhD to understand. It is so simple, people glommed onto it like white on rice. They loved it. It's why they're still there.
I suppose that's racist,
and they
too.
still believe it can happen, and it can. The Trump MAGA agenda can succeed. It will succeed again the next time it's implemented because it resonates with millions and millions of people. It's going to really resonate after 2 years of the Democrat tearing this country apart, which they're going to do. The Democrats are going to tear this country apart. Value by value, tradition by tradition, institution by institution, they're going to tear it apart. They're going to make America long and hope and
yeah,
desire
the wire in the back of his head is his cochlear implant.
for the America of their youth, which was great. And there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with the Ozzie and Harriet version of America. There was nothing wrong with the Beaver Cleaver version of America. There was nothing wrong with America then. The Democrats are going to make something wrong with America. They're going to turn it into something it was never intended to be. And the more they do that, the greater the opportunity we're going to have to make America great again. The Trump agenda will not die, no matter what he calls it. Republican, independent, take your pick. Doesn't matter to me.
Okay, so that was Rush on Future of the MAGA movement. Now, a few more things I want to play. So for all of those people accusing him of being a racist, Rush had a his radio producer was a black man, or an African American, or whatever you want to call him. James Golden, aka Bo Snerdley, certified black enough to criticize Obama. So this is Rush's producer.
All right, if I said the name James Golden, it might not ring a bell with you, but if you listen to Rush Limbaugh, you probably do know the name Bo Snerdley. That's actually the man on the show himself. He's actually the producer of the Rush Limbaugh Show and founded a political action committee that focuses on reaching out to Black American voters. He's here to discuss talk radio, the election, and his mission to make Black Americans Republican again. The man himself, Bo Snerdley. James Golden, welcome to the show, my friend.
Sean, it's so good to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to see you. I'm sure you're a lot warmer than I am from where you guys do that show.
Oh, yeah, it's been raining here all day, so hey, the sun's about to come out right now.
Oh, I'll take it. Hey, a lot to get to. I don't mean to start it off on a sour note, but I know Rush at the beginning of the program today talked about his diagnosis. He doesn't talk about it often. Just real quick, how's he doing?
He's doing well, and as well as can be expected given the diagnosis. You know, we're all very optimistic. He has had, as he said, it's an up and down roller coaster that you're on with the treatment. But thank goodness, from where it started and where he is now, he's doing so much better, and we are praying, and we've got so many millions of people praying for him to recover. So I'm just going to say we're optimistic, and I'm always going to be optimistic.
All right. Well, count us among those who are praying for him and everyone there. I know it's tough. I've talked to Rush about that. It's amazing what he does to struggle through this. And so anyway, let's get back to the good stuff, though. The president was on your show last week. Listen, I have always wondered, there's so much power in talk radio. The more people who listen to this, it gets conservatives fired up. The New York Times had a story out there that said talk radio is turning millions of Americans into conservatives. Don't you think the president should be doing more talk radio, James? I know you guys were excited to have him on Rush, but this is his wheelhouse, man.
He was excellent. He spent 2 hours, no commercial, which was just amazing, nonstop, and had a chance to talk about his record. And of course, he and Rush had a good conversation, a good dialogue about many aspects of his record that you would not hear on mainstream media sources. So that goes to your point. Yeah, he should be doing, the president was on with Newsmax the other day. He should be doing more of that. You guys are doing amazing work. Talk radio, I think he should be doing a lot more talk radio too, but there are only so many hours in the day. This president is doing 2 and 3 rallies a day. He's indefatigable. I mean, his strength and energy is just unmatched.
I agree. So let's see. We got rallies, Rush, and Newsmax. That's enough. He should just focus on that.
Exactly.
That would take him right past the finish line, right, Lindsay?
That's right. You know, James, we talked about this early in the show, but we saw Joe Biden call a lid. Until Thursday, you know, many have questioned his ability to run the free world and his cognitive ability. Recently,
and sadly, we still are, especially after that town hall he had on CNN. I am really questioning Biden's faculty at this point. I do want to try and find one of the segments of Snerdley, certified black enough to criticize Obama. All right. All right, so this is one of the segments about the St. Louis Rams and the NFL and whole Neil. Wait, no, actually, this would have been. So this was a bit that Snerdley used to do. Bo Snerdley, official criticizer of Barack Obama. So this was another great bit.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the official Obama criticizer, Bo Snerdley, asked me yesterday if he could enter this fray. His theory is that he is certified black enough to legitimately and without criticism criticize Obama.
and he would like to say some words about this NFL episode. So without any further delay, here is Mr. Bo Snerdley, the official Obama criticizer here on the EIB network.
This is Bo Snerdley, official Obama criticizer for the EIB network. Certified black enough to criticize with 100% organic slave blood. Today, Obama isn't the issue. This is a special sports edition. And I have a statement. My fellow Americans, this week, a racial spectacle has been played out which is nothing less than disgraceful. You know what? Screw this. We're going to the translation right now. Only this time, it's not a translation for the EIB brothers and sisters in the hood. It's a translation to the hood. Yo, my fellow homies, especially those of you who play in the NFL, every single one of you who shouted out against Rush, check yourself, dog. You got played, okay? Rush ain't your problem, yo. He never was your problem. He never will be your problem. 20 years, man. 20 years, Rush has been telling everybody, you brothers in the NFL deserve to get paid. The NFL and every other sports league there is got to break it off to you because you the best, right? The owners, they got to break it off to you, give up your props, give you your props. Any of you fools know that, yo? No. Instead, you get all puffed up behind some Obama flacky, jump on TV, start mouthing off about Rush said this, Rush said that, slavery, this, slavery, that, whatever. It was all made up, yo. Some of these clown reporters on TV who fed all this stuff to you, yo, you know what they doing now? They out here trying to apologize quietly so they don't get their asses sued. Yo, check that out. Y'all got played. So here's your question for you brothers, especially some of y'all in the NFL. Y'all gonna man up? Y'all gonna man up and say, hey, we got played, man. We kind of sorry. Oop, we didn't know. Okay? Now, let me get this off, okay? McNabb, can we just do this one more time? Square up. Even if Rush said what y'all thought he said, which he didn't say, what's the biggie? Y'all thought he said that McNabb wasn't all of that. And was getting props because people wanted a black guy to succeed at quarterback. So what? So what? Don't y'all want to see a black quarterback make it, yo? I do. So the sports media guys said, you know, they want him to succeed. What's the big deal? Is there a problem here, yo? And McNabb, you a punk, yo. Now, my NFL brothers, let me ask you a question here. Who was it that ripped Michael Vick a new one after he got done in the joint? Was it Rush? Nope. It was a bunch of your white liberal sports writer guys pretending they love their dogs more than they love their wives, okay? That's who ripped all over Michael Vick. Who's been ripping Plexico? Who's been ripping Plaxman? Every time y'all get ripped, who was it that ran T.O. up on out of Dallas, yo? Okay? Was it Rush? No. Okay? Now, for all you homies, this is outside the NFL. For all my brothers and sisters, y'all want to get pissed off about somebody insulting black people? Why don't y'all watch BET, Black Exploitation Television? Okay? You want to know who's calling black women bitches, hold this, bitches, hold that? Has it Rush Limbaugh? No. Who's telling y'all that all y'all can do is jiggle your butts on TV? Is it Rush Limbaugh? No. Rush ain't your enemy, yo. You know what the biggest threat to black men is in America, yo? It ain't Rush Limbaugh. It's other black men who are killing our brothers like they did that young boy out in Chicago, okay? A quarter of our brothers don't even make it to be age 25 because they get shot up by other black men. Rush out there pulling the trigger? No. And y'all brothers, y'all got anything to say about it? Especially y'all in the NFL. Y'all get paid, y'all leave the hood, that's that. Another word, okay? Now, for all of y'all who live deep in the hood, I got another question. Is it Rush Limbaugh stopping your kids from being educated in your rundown schools, in your rundown ass neighborhoods? No. Who is it? And where's Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson on that instead of flapping their mouth about all this other stuff that they don't know anything else about? How come Al, Jesse, and y'all are living large and the hood is still the hood? That concludes my statement.
As the official Obama criticizer, Bo Snerdley.
And that whole bit right there, the journalist himself, that is one of the Media Matters quotes. There's this whole Media Matters list that like a bunch of libtards have on my wall and Facebook. All of the stuff Rush said, most of it is miracle. That in particular, folks, is something that Thirdly himself actually said, but Media Matters decided to put as Rush said. Why? Because they are deceptive. Alright, let's see here. Okay, so who all was here? Okay, Warfist popped in the chat. Olives is here. Fat Kick Boy is here. Good, good, good. Fluffy Phil. Will Rush save Brittany? No, but Sam will give Brittany take a chat ride. You're damn right, Phil. Let's see. Jesse. Who are you talking about though? Olives. Jesse Jackson. Obviously. Or Jesse from God Awful. I don't know. But anyway, folks, I don't want to keep this show going for much longer, but I do want to close. I want to kind of, wrap up the show a little bit because a lot of people think I'm sad, and I am. Rush was a loss for sure, but you know what, folks? Being able to gather with you all, and being able to talk to you guys every week, times multiple, about topics and subject matter, or just about like complete random nonsense. That means the world to me. It really does. I love doing this show for you. It is one of my passions in life. I really do enjoy this. And agree with him or disagree with him, love or hate him, Rush was instrumental in this show. He's been instrumental in my style as a broadcaster. This show would not exist had it not been for me listening to Rush back in the early days of the show. I am so glad that I did. And for those of you who think that, the conservative movement, the right, things are over now that Rush is gone. Oh, the right's crying now. Yeah, well, I'm not crying. I'm not crying yet. The amusing thing is, even in death, the left is still triggered by Rush. I mean, you can't get you can't troll much harder than that, ladies and gentlemen. You really can't. I mean, I know that I've said Alan Powell is the greatest troll who ever lived, and he is. But as far as trolls in the afterlife now, Rush is top dog right now, because the mere fact that he existed is still triggering leftists out there. And for any of you who think that I'm gonna stop doing the show now that my inspiration is gone, let me tell you something. The show is just gonna keep on going. I'm not quitting. I'm not giving up. I'm not doing any of that. Folks, come March 25th, a little over a month from now, I will be celebrating 15 years of podcast. I'll be celebrating 15 years. And you know, that's a long time. And I'm just getting started. And I will continue to slaughter sacred cows on both the left and the right. We're just getting started, and I will continue to not only slaughter sacred cows, but also motivate the fuck out of you guys, because that's what I am here to do with you guys as well. And make you guys laugh, make you guys cry. Some of you guys will love me, some of you guys will hate me, but hey, you guys are still my loyal listeners. So, you know, I love you guys, and we're gonna have a grand time in 2021. And we'll save all the exploits for the anniversary show, but that's coming up, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, guys. I'm not going anywhere. Well, Warfist doesn't have any sacred cows. Warfist listens to the interest of stuff like I do, and those guys, Jeremy and his pretty wife, Sunny, yeah, they slaughter. They don't even slaughter sacred cows. They just slaughter locales in general. But yeah, we'll be back, folks, over and over and over again, week after week. The Savage Express here on the Whitfield Report is not going anywhere. I'm certainly not going anywhere. And, you know, if you don't like it, have luck. And, yeah. Alright, folks, at and right, I want to thank you for tuning in to the program. God bless you. God save this great nation. Rest in peace. Rush. You know, thank you for 32 years of broadcast excellence. And wherever you are, I know you're smiling down. And folks, I will be back tomorrow for the Thursday edition. So until then, God bless, God save this great nation, God freedom, Alexi, in that order, and thank you for listening. Also, go over and subscribe to Brew City Synth as well, because she deserves your support. If I can get to 725 subscribers and I'm just talking, she's way more creative and talented than I am. She deserves a you know, few more subs. And yes, F and F in the chat for Rush. But anyway, folks, that is the, as Dennis Miller used to say on his show, and yes, to you Twitter trolls out there, I'll admit, I do rip off some of Dennis Miller's stuff. It's called borrowing, you know, it's called borrowing style, if, you know, adapting stuff from people you admire. And that's the other thing, is I've borrowed a little of Rush, I've borrowed a little bit of Dennis Miller, I've borrowed, you know, I've borrowed a little bit from everyone and melded it into the Savage Express in this show. And at this point, I think the formula or the soup or whatever you want to call it, the recipe, is pretty close to perfect. Yes, redistribution brew, I like that. But anyway, folks, just to you know, piss the trolls off, let me just say that is the news, and I am out of here. I'll see you tomorrow, folks. God bless.